Again, what we observe in our natural reality is that what the Bible describes is what we observe. There's 2 points of light in the sky. One rules the day, one rules the night. Just as 1 Enoch 72:37 says, in regards to size, they're both equal. This is from the prophet Enoch. So just in case, I know there's a lot of Christians out there that have been told that somehow the book of Enoch is bad. But guys, Jude quotes and calls him the prophet Enoch in Jude 14. So if you believe Hebrews chapter 1, which says God spoke to us through his prophets in many portions in many ways, and in these latter days he spoke through his son, then you must take into account the Hebrew guy Jude talking about one of his Hebrew prophets from antiquity, whom they all believed as a prophet, was Enoch. It was only until the 1st century AD, and then under the specific leadership of a Pharisaic rabbi named Rabbi Akiva, did he have the book of Enoch, Jubilees, and the Testament of 12 Patriarchs removed from the Jewish Old Testament canon. Before that, they all understood 1st Enoch was inspired scripture. It was never in question. So, a little bit of history there to help you understand. Enoch, a prophet of God, gets an entire tour of creation in the writings of Enoch. The angels explain to him, here's where the winds come in from the firmament on this side. Here's what causes hail, frost, and storm. Here's the foundations of the earth. Here's the foundations of the heaven. Here's the heavens themselves. Here's how the stars, moon, and the sun move inside their circuits and their circumferences. So if you want to go get a wonderful description of an enclosed cosmology from the scriptures, go to 1 Enoch chapter 72 through 82. It talks about the sun, moon, and stars in their orbit and their circumference in the heaven above. So these are being upheld in the firmament above. That means there's layers of firmament between you and what you see as this point of light in the sky. Enoch is being told by the angel that these points of light in the sky that are called luminaries, they're not called planets, they're not called orbs, they're not called gas giants, they're never going to go supernova. These points of light in the sky made by the Creator to shine down onto the earth are said to be the same size. And in 1 Enoch 77, it says they're 2 great luminaries. The size of the circumference of both is like. So we have 2 different times where he's told they're the exact same size. Further in chapter 77, he says, the moon becomes full exactly on the day when the sun sets in the west, and from the east she rises at night. The moon shines the whole night through till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. On the side where the light of the moon comes forth, there again she wanes till all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are at an end, and her circumference is empty and void of light. So this is where I kind of agree. I've heard you in some debates in different times, Austin. You've talked about you think the moon might be plasma or a form of plasma or something. Mm-hmm. And I would tend to agree with that because that would make sense of how it charges up. Because again, please go read those chapters I just said where it gives you much more detailed explanation. It tells you that the moon gathers energy from the sun over the course of 14 days until it becomes full with light. And then it wanes for the next 14 days as it loses energy until there's nothing in it and it's void of light. The circumference is empty.
That's
so they
fire.
talk about people seeing things through the moon, things like that. I can't validate those. Those are interesting claims. I can't validate them. But if the scriptures is true, then the circumference of this light is empty whenever it's what's considered a new moon phase, when it's lost all of its light. So this could be exactly why you don't see anything approaching a solar eclipse. So what is actually making the eclipse?
Yeah, great question.
Oh, excuse me. And this is where my crazy theory comes in. I'm sorry, I'm going to cough 1 second.
It's all good.
Water makes me cough.
I'm excited.
So Enoch 77, 15 through 17, and 3 months she makes of 30 days, and that at her time she makes 3 months of 29 days each. So it's telling you the different cycles and how it goes and accomplishes, because it moves faster than the sun in the heaven. So in which she accomplishes her waning in the first period of time, the first portal for 177 days. And in the time of her going out, she appears for 3 months of 30 days each, and for 3 months she appears of 29 each. Excuse me. At night, she appears like a man for 20 days each time. It's interesting because you kind of see a face in the moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks like a man's face in the moon sometimes, right? It's very fascinating because Enoch is saying she appears like a man for 20 days each time, and by day she appears like the heaven, and there's nothing else in her save her light, which is the word for except for. So Enoch is telling you that when her circumference wanes of light, there's nothing else in it, and after she completes this specific cycle, there's nothing else in the moon except her light. So to me, that would make a lot of sense that this is somehow some sort of plasma that produces light. It would wane and wax throughout the months. So what the heck is this thing that actually crosses in front of the sun itself? That the whole world goes crazy over, makes a big deal out of. This is a 2015 a partial eclipse that someone took from high altitude, like 33,000 feet or something, and they showed that it looks like a dot crossing in front of the sun. And what's so wild is over the clouds, like this is a full video. Again, I didn't want to play it because I don't want to get the channel, impacted. But the shadow that you can see on the tops of the clouds is not covering half the earth. Like the shadow is covering like a small little swath, and it moves from right to left across the film, across the tops of the clouds. And you're like, bro, that is not a big object crossing in front of the light source.
Yeah, actually, I agree. I agree. That does make sense.
Just like we see in the Path of Totality from 2017, what they say, 200 miles at its width, but then like 70 to 80 miles approximately at its path of totality. I thought the moon was the same size as the sun. So if it crosses in front of it to become completely eclipsing it, shouldn't half the earth be out of light?
Oh, they got excuses, bro. They got excuses.
Right. I'm just trying to apply a little basic common sense here of whatever is crossing in front of this thing is not the same size as the sun. And of course, we've seen these pictures that are easily debunked, right? With these are fabricated portrayals of light that doesn't happen in reality, and how they supposedly create eclipses with these small points of light.